Welcome. Lovely evening. You listen to the voice of Elohim. Observe the visual of Elohim by looking at the, the smaller light he created for Terra. And out to hear his words. I was studying Cersei in my hand today as he was playing with some, opening up these shelled peanuts. And the way he was opening, starting at the tip and working his way meticulously. And again, this another reflection, proof, validation of Genesis. It says God can be seen in his creatures. Word. We've had Cersei, this Kenor, within a month of it being, after it being weaned. Just had no other contact. Where did it learn this peanut? It wasn't being fed any peanuts. Just garbage food at the place we rescued it from. The hand of Elohim guiding his creatures. Continuing on with this Book of Apocalypse, this being the 9th video. How about these creatures, huh? We left off with these locusts. Touch anything green. And we alluded them to be reflective of the followers of the heretics, the leaders of the heretical religions. And I keep throwing this back at you because it's your soul. It's your soul I find so worthy for the creatures and for mankind. The creatures is up to Elohim. How many of those will be saved? But for mankind, I'm hoping I'm at least maybe one. Hopefully one. They were given specific instructions, these unique esoteric insects. Touch anything green, leave it alone. Anything producing oxygen, given life, not water, of course, but anything green, grass. Anything that has bark on it, trees. Men that do not have the mark of Elohim, that's what you're going after. That's their command. And it becomes more specific now. This is where we are. You're not going to kill them. Instructions are to torment them for 5 months. There's going to be 5 months of this infestation of mankind by either these bona fide, really frightening creatures, or, as we have said, the plague of these heretics, arisen again to strike one more time under the banner of the devil this time. Now, all the followers that continue that religion, they're going to say, yeah, he's here. They're not going to know the difference. They're just going to say he's risen. I mean, I'm just spitballing. I have no idea. Well, the only thing you can believe, creatures and children, the only thing you can believe is what you can actually read and print in the Word, okay? That's all. Not what comes out of my lips. Hopefully I give you a direction as you're reading along, listening, and going back, but only believe what you read and make sure you absorb our very first ones, our preface for Genesis, because it tells you how to choose a Bible. 5 months continuing. Their torments were like, have you ever been struck by a scorpion? Just like that. So it'll be annoying stings, it'll be aggravation, and perhaps physical, real physical debilitation. I don't know. Literally, these locusts with astounding. I mean, who knows what's going to occur here? But they're going to inflict a non-lethal sting, a bite on mankind, literally or not. And during these times, John continues, man will want death. So evidently it's going to be so painful, whether it's mentally, psychologically, or physically. We don't know, we don't know, we don't know. We do know it is going to be unbearable for 5 months. Unbearable to the weak. Okay? For those who are strong, those who are aligned, you have nothing to fear. This is what John is telling you. And Jesus, his boss, his king, his co-writer, my boss, I would say that if you're receiving such instructions from two phenomenal men, St. John and the leader of all, Jesus, then I would really consider that to be literally gospel. Yeah. Yeah, don't take this lightly. The bite or the sting from these smoke birthed creatures is going to be unimaginably painfully tormenting, and there's not going to be a cure. There's not going to be a message. I told you that's what those angels blocking the winds. Remember how we reflected on that? Perhaps it's not the physical winds. Perhaps it's stopping the liturgy, the word. Jesus began it. He planted it. He can stop it in the snap of his finger. And it spread so fast. And I told you there will be nothing on the planet, especially nothing that man will create, that'll ever infest terror as fast as Christianity, the followers of Christ did. Nothing. I promise you. Consider that. Consider those four angels. The sheep of the heretics, the followers, will be ensnared in their false messages. And it's going to become so confusing, so befuddling, so conflicting that no relief, no escape is going to be provided. Those four angels stopping the winds. Meaning, if you're adamant about following a heretical religion, and again, I say this repeatedly, there are over 2,000 so-called Christian religions, another 500 proclaiming that their religion is it. Only one is valid, and those are not my words. Every time we go over this in the gospel, we definitely do a huge pause on it. Think about it. Think about where you're at with your church. And if you're not going to a church, then you really need to doubly think. It's as though Jesus knew fully well that after his time on earth, mankind is going to dilute his teachings, which he has, and the formulating of these hundreds, kids, and it hasn't stopped. It won't, of heretical religions. This is what plagues the planet today. Because of these, we have so much confusion. We have so much misalignment. We have wars. It's because of this. The world always reflects off the status of the church. Church is strong, the world is strong. Church is always strong, but the clergy who are reflective of the church on the planet present a different force. And now the rest of the world is tumultuously reflective on that. Don't take my word on it. Just go back in history and see if the word makes sense. To be brutally candid, all of the religions formulated on earth, once again, are false but one. John continues, the similitudes of the locusts. He writes they're like horses in a battle. It's thunderous. I describe it in Genesis of the rise of these certain territories, these certain kingdoms. Judith especially hasn't read it yet. I'm going through it. But this is what he's describing now. And he said, on the heads were crowns. So it was like a gold. So I imagine it was like kind of engraved in there, golden, something protruding out. And their faces, check this out, were the faces of men. So again, this could be literal. These locusts, you ever look at a locust before? I used to imagine this as a kid because when I used to grab these grasshoppers, I used to look at their faces and it said exactly that. I says, wow, they kind of got humanistic, creepy faces. Humanistic alien, I think I used to say. But how bizarre. And now, look at this. How about that, huh? I told you, he gave me a heart since coming out of the womb. And it's always been there in belief as far as what I've given to mankind. Fair man up. So they sound like horses, and their men are like faces. Prepared in the battle. Let's discuss that. Heretics. Being ever so ready to contend, they do pretend victory and counterfeit gold and shape as men, as smooth and delicate as women. A manifold hypocrisy, folks. Their tongues and pens are full of venom, full of gall. Their hearts are obdurate. It's full of noise, shuffling, repeat garbage. Their doctrine is pestiferous. A glass full of poison is the tail of a sting of a scorpion. But they will endure only for a while. As Jerome writes, for a little season. Speaking about women, when we continue on, when we next meet, their hair is going to be like women. Until then, please read what we've just presented to you now. Digest these words, or just repeat this. Put this in your head. Think about it, contemplate it. Pax vobis.